If you ever stop to wonder, how can I use my laser to make a 4-foot business sign with raised letters and color-changing LEDs, then this video is for you. And if you haven't but are now curious, I'll be sharing what it's like to take on a large custom sign, design a project that's double the size of your laser, and how to backlight it with LEDs. So stick around. Hey, and welcome to my channel. I'm Lena, and I share DIY tutorials, tools, and tips to help you level up your projects. I was recently commissioned by a local restaurant to create a 4 by 4.5 foot logo sign for them to use for their brand new lounge. With this being a bucket list project of mine, I immediately said yes. But it wasn't until I put my thinking cap on and started designing did I realize my laser is only 23 inches. I knew I had to figure something out because I wasn't about to turn this project down. So here's what I did. Knowing that the only requirements for the sign were to include a logo and backlight it, it felt pretty straightforward. Since I would have to increase the logo about 5 times the size of the image that they gave me, I had to clean up their logo and convert it into a vector in order to scale it properly. When you enlarge a design to something this big, even the smallest imperfections can be extremely noticeable. I also thickened the letters slightly so they could hide behind the LED strips and wiring when I get to that part. With that out of the way, it was time to figure out how to actually build the sign. I went out and purchased a 4 by 8 foot sheet of 1/2 inch birch plywood for this project, and would have just enough to use for the backer, logo letters, and the risers to lift them. Translation, no room for error at this point. I still had no idea if my xTool P2 could even cut 1/2 inch material, but I'll get back to that later. The first idea that came to mind for making this giant sign was breaking up the large letters into smaller pieces that could actually fit inside the laser bed, and then piecing them together like a puzzle on the actual sign. I figured I could seal the visible seams with wood fillers since I'd be painting over it anyway. But taking in consideration that wood expands and contracts, I didn't want to run the risk of the letters pulling apart over time. Option B, and the solution I chose, was to still use the laser to cut smaller pieces of those large letters, instead cutting them out on scrap material and Frankensteining those pieces into a stencil, which then I would use to trace and cut the full letters out on the 1/2 inch birch using a jigsaw. Instead of trying to force my laser to do everything, I used it to make more tools in the form of stencils. While I was originally going to clean up the edges with a scroll saw and sand it down to match the stencil, my partner suggested using a router could be a simpler process to help get the closest match to the stencil, and could even be quicker. After attaching the stencil using some double-sided Gorilla Tape and learning how to use this janky router setup to create the large letters, it was time to remove the stencil and get them prepped for painting. This tape was ridiculously hard to get off. Quick tip, if you ever have to remove adhesive, use a heat gun, it'll help to loosen it and make it a lot easier. With the largest part of the logo out of the way, my partner took on the backer, adding a frame around the edge to better hide the wiring behind the sign once that's in. He also added a French cleat to make hanging the sign easier when we go to install it. While he finished that up, I moved on to the laser to test out that birch plywood. Would the xTool P2 actually cut 1/2 inch birch plywood, or would I have to suffer the slow and agonizing pitter-patter of the scroll saw if it didn't work? After creating a laser cut test grid and crossing my fingers with anxiety, it was a success. I was able to cut the smaller letters just fine. Now with all of the important pieces cut, I used the rest of the birch scraps to make risers for each of the letters. Since the risers would sit behind the letters, the seams didn't matter here. So I used the same exact process as I did with the stencils to cut the risers for the N and the V. Next, I moved on to priming and painting. I chose to spray paint the letters for the smoothest possible finish, starting with multiple coats of primer and sanding between each layer before spraying on coats of black. Now, spray painting comes with its own set of challenges in a normal setting. But this particular week happened to be the coldest week we saw, with temperatures dropping below 0, making this build extremely unpleasant. Between trying to work really fast with open doors and windows for proper ventilation, which added to increased paint drying times, while also trying not to turn into a popsicle, I'd say that the letters came out pretty dang good. While the logo letters were drying, I primed the backer so that everything would be dry for the next day and we could start attaching. Now that everything was dry, the next step was perfecting the alignment of the logo. I had already created a stencil for the smaller letters, so the hardest part here would be the N and the V. Since I designed all of this in xTool Studio and used actual project dimensions, it wasn't too difficult to figure this out. By measuring the distance of each piece away from the edge of the backer, we landed on the correct placement pretty quickly. With all of the risers traced out, I pre-drilled holes directly through the backer, replaced risers with the actual letters, then my partner drilled through the back through the same holes, creating marks in the letters for alignment. To make sure that they both matched up perfectly, we swapped the risers back in and did the same thing. We then made the decision to hold all the risers in place using CA glue, which in hindsight was the reason for my pain and agony that would shortly follow. Since we traced the letters onto a primed backer, we now needed to final coat this. And this is where things took a bit of a turn. What should have been the easiest part of the sign, simply painting a large white square, turned out to be the most frustrating. This sign actually ended up getting repainted 4 times after adding the risers on, due to texture problems and coverage problems and everything in between. We tried experimenting with nap rollers, foam rollers, self-leveling paints. Ultimately, we just ended up having to spray paint it. So thankfully, the backer just fit inside of our teeny little paint booth, and we got everything nice and smooth, exactly how we wanted it. Once the paint fiasco was over, it was time to install the LEDs. For this sign, we went with RGB cob LED strips, which are a lot more seamless than traditional LEDs. And this set would allow the colors to change with an external remote. The LED strips have an adhesive backing and would wrap perfectly around the risers that we put in place. My partner then drilled holes at the end of each strip to feed the wire through the back. Once all the LED strips were securely in place, we had to combine each individual strip using crimp connectors and protective heat shrink. The goal here was to keep the wiring clean and tidy. If the wiring wasn't perfectly hidden, then the entire backlit effect would fall apart, and all this work would kind of be for nothing. So once all the wiring was taken care of, final assembly of the letters would be next. Most of the hard work of the letters was done when we pre-drilled all of the holes earlier on. Now it was all about teamwork and patience.
Top one is in the most it can be.
Although we had tested this on scrap pieces, the fear of accidentally screwing through the face of the letters was still lingering in my mind. So the worst possible case of this happening could have set us back, and at this point we only had 3 hours left before we needed to load it onto the truck and get it to the restaurant to install it. Thankfully, with no issues and very minimal swear words, we finally got the letters attached and got to flip the lights on. And that's the moment where all of the effort of this project finally felt worth it. It was extremely rewarding to see this sign. The logo placement, the paint job, the lighting, the size, everything came together exactly how we had hoped. And in addition to this project, the client also requested a custom engraved mirror for their restroom. That project had its own learning curve, so I'll be sharing a completely separate video showing you how to laser engrave a mirror, so you might want to hit that subscribe button. From start to finish, this project took about a week. It definitely taught me a whole lot. First, always build in more buffer time than you think you need, especially when you're experimenting with new techniques. Second, your laser doesn't have to do everything. It's just one tool in a larger workflow. And third, you don't always need a bigger laser or machine to build bigger projects. Sometimes you just need to design around the limitations, which oftentimes allows you to be a lot more creative than you would have thought. So if this video inspired you to make a sign like this for a local business, or it completely put you off, let me know in the comments. And if you're interested in more projects like this, especially combining lasers with other tools, I'll be sharing more builds and experiments here on this channel. Watch out for that laser engraved mirror project in the future, and until next time, stay inspired.